Hey there, Senior Guitar. We are on week 3 of this. So, just showing you what we're going to go over today. So you should have 3 pages with the package. First one's our nice long explanation. We're going to be looking at the major scale, a little bit of theory here. And then there's just some stuff on the bottom about alternate tunings that I'm just going to talk about in a little bit once we've gone over the major scale stuff. And then there is a little homework assignment again. And it's going to be with this blank page, just come up with something. Come up with a little lick, a melody, something that you're playing of your own that you like, and then write it out on the tablature. Okay. You don't have to try to put the notation, so you're not going to have how long the notes are or anything, just the numbers, and then you can remember the other part in your head for now. But it's just a good way to kind of expand your mind and be creative. Okay. So first things first, major scale. Okay. Hopefully I don't lose you guys on this one. So the key to this is going to be having the second page out probably as we go over this, okay? And the important one is going to be this line right here, the C major scale, okay? So we talked about scales before, blues scale, pentatonic scale. We've gone over the major scale a little bit. But this is going to kind of break down, now that we've looked at the notes on the fretboard last week, we're going to apply that to kind of learn some scale theory here, okay? So major scale, they're all based on the same distance between notes. The easiest way to start is with the C major scale. Okay, so the reason why we start with the C major scale is there's all natural notes in it. So there's no sharps, no flats. The C major scale is C, D, E, E, F, G. Tired today, guys. Yeah, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then back to C. So that's one octave. Okay, so I'm going to aim this down so you can play that. I'm going to play it in a couple ways so you can see what we're doing here, okay? So as it's written on the sheet music, it's like this. Okay, so C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now, we're going to look at that now with the distance between the notes. Okay, so the names of the notes aren't the important part with the scale. So you can't just take say I'm going to play an E major scale and play E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. Okay? That is not a correct major scale. E major would sound like this. Okay, and I'm going to play C major again so you can hear how they sound very similar. Because the distance between the notes stays the same. So, when we were looking at distance between notes last week, all the notes were either 2 frets apart or 1 fret apart. Okay, so 2 frets can also be called a whole tone, and 1 fret can be a semi or a half tone. You'll also hear it sometimes referred to on guitar as a step, so it'll be a full step or a half step, same thing. Okay, so remember, whole is 2 frets, half or semi is 1. Okay, so now we're going to go through the scale again. This time I'm going to play it linearly on 1 string, which you'll be able to do after we talked about last week, going all the way up the fretboard. Okay? So we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay? So that was going up. So let's go look at the distance between the notes now. So we have C, 2 frets, a whole step to D, and another whole to get up to E, so 2 frets, 1 to F, which is a half, 2 more, so a whole to G, 2 more, another whole to A, another 2, another whole tone to get to B, and a half for a semitone to get to C. It's 1 fret. So if we take away the note names, a major scale can be written as whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So no matter what note we start with, if we go whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step, we will play the major scale and be back at our octave. Okay? So for example, what I want you guys to do is kind of homework on this one, is the bottom three here. Okay, your B flat, your E, and your A. Okay, they're written out there. What I want you to do is just write down what notes those are. And I kind of went through the F scale, the F major here, on the page. Kind of just showed you the easy way to add it up. But I'm going to go over that now again and show you again going up the frets how this works out. Okay. So this is also where we're going to apply finding notes in different spots on the fretboard. For example, when we played it up one string with the C major, we know our 5th fret can be our open D string, our 7, 2nd fret, and so on. That's how we can play same thing, different spots. This one obviously requires a lot more work going up and down. This pretty simple in the left hand. Okay, so let's do the F major scale. Yeah, I'm going to do both ways. So the way it's written on that is like this. Now to figure out what those notes are, let's play it linearly up the string. Okay, so it's an F major, so we're starting at F, our 1st fret on the low E. Now first thing I do is whole. So whole is 2 frets, takes up the 3rd fret, which is G. So our next note is G. And again, we're going to go up 2 more frets. Now we're at A. Okay? Now we're on to our half step up, which is B flat. And now another whole gets us to C. Another whole to D. Another whole gets us to E. And then that last half gets us back to F. Okay? So I'll play that up again. Now, if we take those notes and put them on other strings, we get okay? So our F major scale is G, A, B flat, C, D, E, and F. So as you can see, that one has that B flat in there. It's not just G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay? Because that would sound like you hear that one note there. Okay? So yeah, that's kind of the scale. And what I want you to do is just try to figure out what the notes are for these guys, okay? I'll do a little more theory after that. I know scales are a little like more theory than we've done, but it's good to know because this is the kind of stuff, once you get that thought of the distance between down, you can build fretboard patterns. So instead of playing your C major scale here, you play, sorry, there's a spot in here you can play it as well. I don't have it memorized off the top of my head, but you can play in 2 octaves here. So it would be, I can play a couple of wrong notes there, but it's in there. Okay. So we'll go over that one next week. I'll show you the next step up, which would be playing it across 2 octaves. I know you can't do that on bass Emma with the 4 strings, but this theory still applies because you can end up playing higher up the neck on your 4th string to get the same spot as we're playing about here. Okay. Now, I think I just kind of wanted to go over as kind of more of an interesting thing is alternate tunings. We usually play in standard tuning. So standard is E, A, D, G, B, E. It's called standard tuning because it's just the standard tuning for a guitar. But there's other ways you can tune a guitar for different things. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of them just to see what they sound like. And we're going to go kind of a transition from being in standard, we're going to end up in D standard, which is a full step down. So first thing I'm going to show you is drop D. So what we're going to do for that, and these all work on bass to some extent. I'll explain how as we go along here. So to get to drop D, we're going to tune our low E string down to D. Easiest way to do that is we're going to pluck those 2 strings together. And now we have 2 Ds. Okay, you can use a tuner as well, obviously, to make it more accurate, but that's just the quick, easy way to do it. Now, why would we want to be doing drop D? Well, I'm going to let me tune back up quickly and I'll show you. Because one thing I wanted to go over was how to play a major chord in each of these, because that will kind of give you the difference. So, for example, play an F chord here in standard tuning, or G, or A. You have to play a full bar chord. It takes all your fingers, okay? So, going down to drop D, what we've done is, since we've tuned this down a whole tone, 2 frets, any note before that we were playing as a 1 has to become a 3 to get that same thing. So to play that same F chord now, I can play it with 1 finger. Can't play all 6 strings with 1 finger, you kind of have to add some other stuff in. Let's play those 3 string power chords. Just kind of got an ominous sound. And then you play an open D chord with all 6 strings. Okay, so that's the first one. Comes out in a lot of rock music because really you can do a lot of stuff on your low strings with 1 finger. That's why a lot of people like it. So next one I want to go over is open G. So this one we're tuning to a chord. So a G chord has the notes G, D, and B in it. Okay. So what we're going to do is tune all the strings on our guitar to be one of those. Now we're already in drop D, which is good, because we want that string tuned that way. And then we're also going to tune our high E down to D. So again, the easiest way to do that, pluck 2 D strings, or pluck 1 D and then your E. Okay, so now we have 3 Ds on here. We have a B, we have a G, we have this A string. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to tune it down to G. With alternate tunings, you almost always tune down. And the reason for that is if you tune up, you put more tension on the neck of the guitar and you can damage it. So what we're going to do is we're going to tune our G string and our A now. So we're going to tune our A down to meet the G. Just going to check the tuning on this one. Alright, so now our guitar is tuned D, G, D, G, B, D. Now, this tuning is kind of strange in a lot of ways because most people, when they use it, don't actually use the low E string at all. I can play, and that's because when you play a chord, the lowest note you're playing, you want to be the root note. So if we're playing a G chord normally, I'm not going to play it because it's going to sound really weird. This note would be our G, right? So that's our lowest note. Same when we're playing a E in standard tuning, low E, A, C, anything like that, our lowest note is the root. So our G string here, our 5th string, the old A is now G, is going to be our root note. So we can play a D chord actually like this, in D minor. But most of the time in open G tuning, you end up only playing 5 strings. But if I ring these 5 out, that sounds like a G chord. So to play, we're going to play a C. Okay, so you need to now figure out where C is going to be, because it's not in the same spot here. Okay, our 3rd fret used to be C, but we've tuned down 1 step, so 2 frets. So now we have to go up here. Okay, so our C though, all I'm going to do is bar my finger across the bottom 5 strings, the top 5, and then go up to a D. So there's a lot of cool kind of ones you can do in this. Rolling Stones had a lot of this. Keith Richards, like the song "Start Me Up." It's good for the blues because you can play. kind of chord progressions work really well. The other cool thing with open tuning is this is what people use to play slide. So I'm not good at slide, but it's kind of just a cool thing, because what you're doing is you're putting some object, in this case it's glass tube. Some people use metal ones, people use the end of a bottle, a tin can would work honestly, but you're not pushing down against the frets, you're just holding it over the strings, over a fret, and it acts like a fret. And in open tuning, because if you're just going straight on one fret, keeping this parallel, everything's going to sound in tune if you hit the wrong string. If you try playing slide in standard tuning, you hit a wrong string, it's going to sound like you're strangling a cat. So yeah, that's another interesting one just to play around with. I honestly started playing Open G about, well, 3 weeks ago, and you can come up with some just interesting things. Because you have matching sets of strings. So there's really not too much opportunity to play wrong notes if you're just kind of figuring out a chord shape that works and sliding it around. It's probably going to sound pretty cool. Okay? So now from there, we're going to go down to D standard, which means everything on the guitar we're going to have tuned down one step. So our E is already down to a D. I'm just going to throw my tuner on here and make sure I actually have this done right, because this one we don't really have an easy way to do. So our E is already down to a D, our A is already down to a G, so that one's down already. Now our fourth string, currently a D, we have to take down one step, so that becomes C. Our G, we also still have to go down one step with, so it becomes F. Go down a step to A for our B string. And then our D string stays in D. However, when you tune your guitars like this, you'll often find the strings will sympathetically go out of tune. You'll have it in tune, you'll tune one string down, and then you'll have to check it again. And that's because this really isn't ideal for most guitars. The string tension changes and everything, so it makes staying in tune a lot harder. Okay, we'll call that close enough. So this is now, as you can hear, my guitar doesn't sound very well tuned in this tuning because the strings are too light. This is now D standard, so a full step down. So now we have D, G, C, F, A, and D. Okay? And because it's a standard tuning, we're back to our standard major chord shapes. Again, I can play G, C, any chord. All we've done is tune everything down together. Okay? The reason we do that, most likely, is if someone's singing to it. Some people will, like, for example, Mr. Brad, when he was playing with us, he said he usually has his guitar tuned down a half step, which is a half tone, so E flat instead of D across, because he finds it more comfortable to sing over. So that's often why people use this kind of tuning. And then from here, though, you can again go drop D on the already stepped down. This is now drop C. You can see how bendy my strings are here. Sounds kind of cool, but it's hard to keep in tune. Usually if you're doing this, you have to have heavier strings to get the guitar set up. So yeah, that's kind of the open tuning thing. So your homework this week is to kind of figure out these major scales and come up with something of your own. It can be something simple. I don't know, anything. Just the idea is you come up with something and then write it down and then try to remember how to play it, okay? Now with these tunings, they all do work on bass. You just only want to tune those bottom four strings the same, okay? So again, you just have D, A, D, G for drop D. It would be D, G, D, G for your open D. And then D standard would be D, G, C, F. That said, when you're playing bass, if you know the lowest note's going to be D and we're in drop D, you could play in D standard because you're following the bass line usually, or not, sorry, the the root note. You're not worried about playing chords, so you can kind of get away with using whatever tuning you want as long as you have the same range of notes, okay? So yeah, that's that, and hopefully I'll see you guys this week on a little Zoom chat, and hope everything's going well. Bye-bye.